From the East Cobb Baseball Complex in Metro Atlanta, it's the 2015 Travel Ball Woodbat National Championships, and we're underway in this elimination ball game inside of the 10U classification. Hello again, everybody, and thanks for joining us here on TravelBallSelect.com. Alongside producer-director Amy Walker and the man running the camera today for us, Johnny Doherty. I'm Chris Mooneyham with the play-by-play story. Ground ball to start things. And the first man of the ball game, Parker Brustevich, is retired. The Motor City Hit Dogs from Metro Detroit, the Michigan team, in the orange and blue. They'll be the visiting team today. Brustevich retired 1-3, and that'll get us to Ryan McKay, the second baseman. McKay will be followed by Preston Carter. That'll be your guaranteed 3 here in the visitors' half of this first inning. Swing and a miss. Two teams that ended group play at 1-1 over the last few days. Sit as the 4 and 5 seeds inside of this single elimination tournament. This is the bracket that will determine the 2015 10U Travel Ball Woodbat Championship. Swing and a miss. First strikeout of the ball game. Grant Wilwerding, the man on the mound for home plate. The home plate Chili Dogs. No, home plate Blankenship, pardon me. I get them confused with one of their other members of the home plate family. These two programs, speaking of which, I guess now as good a time as any to bring it up, both of these programs, two of the illustrious programs of travel baseball throughout the country. There are a few programs that are really well known across the nation, and this is two of them. Motor City Hit Dogs, as I mentioned, at the plate in blue and orange out of Metro Detroit. We'll call them Michigan today. And home plate Blankenship from the South Metro Atlanta area. We'll call them Georgia today. Wilwerding kicks and fires a fastball that stays high, but nonetheless the batter swings and misses, and Carter retired for strike 3. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll set up the ball game even further. From Metro Atlanta, no score. Bottom half of the first inning. Home plate Blankenship. Seen on your screen as Georgia taking on the Motor City Hit Dogs from Michigan. So home plate Blankenship and Motor City Hit Dogs, two of the top travel baseball programs in America. Detroit versus Atlanta, if you like. And, of course, Georgia versus Michigan. It's a really interesting affair today between these two ball games and in a single elimination bracket, by the way. Motor City Hit Dogs Lost 12-1 to the East Cobb Colt 45s in group play. And then beat Georgia Octane 6-5 to put together their 1-1 record. Outscored by 10 runs, 17-7 overall inside of group play, and that's what put them at the bottom of their table. As for home plate Blankenship, Team Georgia, they lost to MGBA Bulldogs 10-0 and beat Team Crush 7-5. So also 1-1, but outscored by just 8 runs in pool play 15-7. And so Georgia gets the higher seed over Michigan in this single elimination tournament ball game. One of the opening ball games of this tournament. We'll start things with Wills McGinnis. Wills McGinnis at the plate. He'll be followed by Wesley Drake and Hayden Blair in the home half of the first. Preston Carter's second delivery touches the dirt, gets back to the screen, and it's 2-0. Winner of this one advances on to take on the aforementioned MGBA Bulldogs, whom home plate lost to. Georgia lost to during pool play. Strike on the outside corner. Carter back into the at-bat at 2-1. Righty kicks and fires. 3-1. And he lost him. First man to reach in the ball game today via the walk, and it's to the leadoff man, Wills McGinnis. And here's Wesley Drake. These two programs know each other very, very well. In the dirt. Throw down. Not just not in time, but also over the head of the second baseman. A lot of wild pitches, a lot of steals in our first ball game of the day. This, again, the second of 4 games here on TravelBallSelect.com, and a real pleasure for many reasons to be here today. Not just this amazing, gorgeous first week of May weather in Metro Atlanta. First the pitch, which sweeps outside a fastball. Let's make it 2-0. But also the opportunity to see the young men hitting with wooden bats as opposed to their customary aluminum bats. Then also, with the 4 ball games that we have today, you know, traditionally we'll come in and we'll cover one age range, one classification of age inside of the tournaments over one given championship Sunday or Saturday or whatever the day may be. Today, a real treat because we get to see 3 different age ranges. Had the 12Us in our first ball game of the day. We drop down to the 10-year-olds in this one. And we'll finish up our day with a semifinal matchup and the championship match of the 11U tournament. Carter fires. Line right back at him and into center field for a base hit. McGinnis did a great job of letting that ball get past him. Anytime a ball's hit behind you, especially when you're at second and it's on top of the second base bag, did a great job of keeping his head on a swivel, watching where that baseball was going to go, and then knowing that he was going to have the opportunity to get to third base, which he does, putting runners at first and third with nobody out. Pitch out, throw down to second, got a chance, and he's in safely. Hayden Blair at the plate now. Strike on the outside corner. Tremendous pitch there by Preston Carter. 2 men in scoring position for Blair. Wind picking up a little bit here in Marietta. 2-1. Make it 3-1. Had a big miss there. Pop foul back out of play, and now Carter back to 3-2. Roddy checks the runner and deals. Caught the outside corner for called strike 3. Blair's caught looking. First man of the inning retired. And here's Drew Ellsworth. Well, they really either have a great scouting report on Team Georgia, speaking of Detroit, Michigan. Well, Detroit's not actually wrong, but Team Michigan has shifted their center fielder, Cheeseman, so far into right center field that he's really only about 4 or 5 feet from what you would call true right field. And they put their right fielder about 3 feet from the line. They absolutely do not believe that Ellsworth has any shot of pulling Carter. And meanwhile, the Michigan left fielder shaded over into left center field. 1-2. Breaking ball that didn't. And the at-bat even at 2-2. Shot into right, and a foul ball. Extremely interesting defensive alignment here. They've got McKay, the second baseman, shaded heavy to the right side, just as the outfielders are. They got their first baseman about a foot from the line. Yet on the left side of the infield, they got the shortstop at deep shortstop. No matter, because Ellsworth is gone via the swinging strikeout. Not a huge, huge out for Michigan. Now just 1 out away from getting out of this early ball game jam. Aaron Gates to the plate. Well, they have him played similarly. Strike on the outside corner. Well, Preston has been firing it up there with some considerable giddy-up. Putting a lot of speed on his fastball, and maybe they just don't believe necessarily that that the bottom half of this lineup, or the middle of this lineup, any part of the lineup, I suppose, will be able to catch up to the fastball. Off-speed pitch this time. Hit right at the second baseman, McKay. He'll have to hurry. Great speed by Gates, but he's gunned down nonetheless. So early trouble for Team Michigan, but they're able to get out of it after a walk and a single to the first 2 batters. The next 3 men retired, and we stay scoreless at the end of 1 in Metro Atlanta. Second frame from Metro Atlanta. Thanks for joining us right back here on TravelBallSelect.com. Grant Will Wording's first pitch, line down to third. Blair there, Hayden Blair there for out number 1. That was Ellis Folks, who is retired 5 unassisted, or a line out to 5 if you prefer. Will Wording now facing Brett Wall, the Michigan catcher, who takes a fastball right off his shoe tops, ball 1. Defensive set for Georgia in a moment. Fastball that touches the dirt and gets us to 2-0. This will probably be the only defensive setup I do for the ball game. For those of you who know your Travel Ball Select, some of these kids will shift 2 or 3 times defensively in the ball game. 3-0 count now, by the way, from Will Wording to Wall coming up. You got Will Wording on the mound, and he's firing down to Bryson Blankenship, the catcher. From first to third, it's Ellsworth. McGinnis, first a ground ball down to short. Well, kind of fell right in line there, didn't it? And the shortstop, Cooper Ramey, guns him down. The third baseman, Hayden Blair, you saw in the first play of this inning. Left fielder, Wesley Drake. Center fielder, Aaron Gates. And the right fielder, Colin Shaner. Wall retired 6-3. And here's Alex Cheeseman. Will Wording kicks and fires. Off-speed pitch right across the heart of the plate, and Cheeseman barely missed it. 0-1. Bright, beautiful, blue, high sky, as we like to call it in baseball terms. Sky's so blue, so dull in its contrast that when a ball gets pretty high up there, kind of hard to see the baseball. 0-2 count. Will Wording gets a sign that he likes and deals to Cheeseman. Fouled away. Ball games going on all across the complex here in Metro Atlanta. Weather absolutely beautiful, not just the high sky, but perfect temperatures. Beautiful, beautiful early May day. Popped him up. This one also at a play. It's the second of 4 games today. Not our first tournament of the spring here at East Cobb, and it certainly will not be our last. We'll be with you all summer, spring and summer long here on TravelBallSelect.com as we continue down the road towards the overall national championships inside of each age range. Schedule still being flexed out and figured out, but we hope to bring you as much national championship and All-American Classic action that we can here on TravelBallSelect.com. Continue to check the website throughout the spring and summer. We'll have updates on who's coming to each tournament as teams solidify their spot. We'll talk about the qualifiers for the overall national championships. After some of those said national championships, All-Americans will be crowned, and then they will play in tournaments featuring other All-Americans immediately following that, or at least soon after that. It's going to be an action-packed summer all across the country when it comes to travel ball baseball. Throw across the diamond. Easy play there for Blair. And 1-2-3 goes Michigan in the top half of the second. Still no score from Metro Atlanta. Home plate Blankenship. Team Georgia on your screen. To the plate. In this bottom half of the second inning. No score between Team Georgia and Team Michigan. Shot into right center field, but they had him played perfectly. There's that shift we were talking about in the outfield where Cheeseman comes right up and makes a catch after about 3 steps, and he retires Jaleel Palmer. No, that was Will Wording, pardon me. Will Wording's retired on the F8. The fly out to the center fielder who was standing in right field. Cooper Ramey now, the shortstop. Scheduled for 6 innings. If anybody puts together an offensive explosion of any sort, we'll start to get into run rule potentials, which we did have in our first game of the day here on TravelBallSelect.com. Outside corner. Preston Carter got into a little bit of trouble in the first 2 batters of the ball game. A walk to the leadoff man, McGinnis. A single he gave up to Drake. And so with 2 runners on, he was in a good bit of trouble. In fact, had runners at second and third with nobody out in that first inning. But then a strikeout of Blair and Ellsworth consecutively, and a ground out by Gates got him out of the inning. Sitting on a 2-2 count with 1 man gone in the bottom half of this second inning after the flyout by Will Wording. After Cooper Ramey, we'll see Bryson Blankenship, and the righty deals. Called strike 3 on the outside corner. 3rd strikeout for Carter, 2nd looking. And now the aforementioned Georgia catcher Bryson Blankenship. High pop. This could be the inning. Called at second by McKay. He's got it. And the inning over. So nothing doing for either team for the most part here through 2 innings in Metro Atlanta. You're watching the 2015 Travel Ball Select Woodbat National Championships in the 10U classification right here on TravelBallSelect.com. Jaleel Palmer, Hunter Lilla, and Ryan Mooney. Visitors half of the third inning. Scoreless ball game, as you see on your screen, between Michigan and Georgia. Michigan at the plate as the visiting team in this third inning. The Motor City Hit Dogs, one of the great nicknames in all of youth sports. The Motor City Hit Dogs, based out of Metro Detroit, a little north of Detroit. It's what we've been told by a couple of parents, coaches. Of course, these travel ball teams, a gathering of some of these young men from various areas. Palmer waiting on a 1-1. Chopper down to short. Good speed by Palmer. This could be tough. Throw across the diamond in time for out number 1. Palmer retired 6-3. Good solid arm by Cooper Ramey. Fire across the diamond. And now Hunter Lilla. Lilla, the Michigan left fielder. Some of these programs so prestigious. You'll see kids drive for miles and miles around to join these programs. Matter of fact, we're playing here at East Cobb, the East Cobb Baseball Complex, one of the meccas of youth baseball across the country. This is a fine example. First the pitch. Will Wording's delivery fouled back into the screen, and now the count even at 1. You know, we talk oftentimes about youth programs across the state, and anyone who is, knows anything about youth sports, or really just sports in general here in the metro Atlanta area or the state of Georgia, knows about the East Cobb baseball program. You'll have kids that'll drive up. Their families will come up just about every weekend from all the way down in South Georgia, make 5- and 6-hour trips to get up here to have their kids take part in these programs. Of course, that's the same across the country. Outside. Now Will Wording has fallen behind 3-1 on the verge of allowing his first runner to reach. And Lilla trying to be that man. Left side. Will be foul. Won't fall out of play, but no play on it either. Three-two now. Swing and a miss. Will Wording gets the swinging strikeout. Lilla retired in his first at-bat, and 2 men gone in the third. And now Ryan Mooney. I like this kid. High pop. Left center field. Left fielder makes a call and the catch. And the inning comes to a close. So Mooney retired. F7. And through 2.5 here in Metro Atlanta, no score. Strike to start things in the bottom half of this third inning. Still no score between Georgia and Michigan. Two of the preeminent youth baseball programs in the country. And two of their fine pitchers are locked in a duel. An 0-2 count on Colin Shaner. Got a little piece of one. Sent it down to second. McKay up and over for out number one. So Shaner retired 4-3 in his first plate appearance of the ball game. That'll get us back to the top of the order, and Wills McGinnis. Wills walked to start the home half of the ball game, and he's ahead in the count 1-0. Talked about how illustrious these two programs are, how they produce some amazing top-flight baseball talent, and I also was talking about this historic East Cobb baseball complex last half inning, how parents, family members will bring their kids from miles and miles around to take part in one of the many teams that have been fielded here at the East Cobb baseball complex. I'm an old school guy, late 30s. I grew up in this Cobb County area and covered a lot of the guys who came up through this system. And to hear some of the names that have played here, quite staggering, really. Not necessarily because they're all, Hall of Famers or anything like that at the major league level. But what's staggering, first of all, the amount of guys that have actually played professional baseball. Now, not necessarily major league baseball, but at least played in the minor leagues. But when you look at the list of guys that have actually made it to the majors while, making at least one stop at the East Cobb baseball complex, it's really astounding. A list so long that I'll just give you a sampling here of some of the names, historic and current, in just a few moments. Carter kicks and fires. Pop. Does that stay in territory? First baseman makes a sliding grab. Beautiful, beautiful play there at first by Jalil Palmer. So McGinnis retired on the pop-up to the first baseman, so a P3 if you prefer. Now Wesley Drake, who singled in his only other plate appearance. Adam Everett, Brandon Phillips, Buster Posey, Brian McCann. Swing and a miss. Dominic Brown, David Hale, formerly of the Braves, Gordon Beckham, Jason Jones, Jason Hayward, Jeff Rancour, Kyle Farnsworth, Chris Benson, Kyle Davies, Marlon Bird, Nick Markakis. Fly ball to left. Pretty well struck, but the left fielder there for the final out of the inning. Quincy Carter, Shane Monahan, Zach Wheeler. Those just a few of the names that I put together in the reflection of how great and productive this East Cobb baseball complex has been throughout the years. Today, it's seeing quite a pitching duel. A scoreless shutout between Michigan and Georgia on TravelBallSelect.com. Ryan Frohock, one of the best names we'll have all weekend here in Metro Atlanta, leads off this top half of the fourth inning. Still no score. In fact, not many hits, just one hit combined for the three clubs. For the two clubs, obviously. My Freudian verbal slip there when I said for three clubs, because three guys have come close to delivering hits in the ball game and not quite been able to because of really fine defensive plays by their opponents. Just the one hit in the ball game delivered by Wesley Drake of Georgia as the second batter of the ball game. In fact, we've only had two men reach base, period, in this ball game. Frohock takes one. That's ball one. It'll be Ryan Frohock, as I mentioned, the extra hitter at the bottom of the lineup. Then back to the top, Brustevich and Ryan McKay. Swing and a miss. Another strikeout for Will Wording. Grant Wilwerding on the mound for Georgia has been something else today. And as I mentioned, the leadoff man, Parker Brustevich. Parker 0 for 1, grounded out to the pitcher his first time up, retired 1-3, not one assisted, 1-3. 4 strikeouts now, by the way, for Will Wording. 2-0 count. Will Wording's been so good today now as we make our way to the fourth inning. 4 strikeouts. One, two, three, 4 ground outs. A line drive that was caught by his third baseman and a fly out. So one more time, 4 strikeouts, 1 fly out, 1 line out down to the third baseman, and 4 ground outs. The 10 men retired by Grant Wilwerding. This one into center field. The center fielder makes a diving attempt, and it gets right underneath his glove for the first hit of the ball game for Michigan. Well, that'll be the first hit for Michigan, and now I suppose we can talk about it. I'll tell you something, Grant Wilwerding absolutely has no-hitter stuff out there. Didn't want to jinx it. Of course, as a broadcaster, you got to bring up the no-hitter. It's your job to talk about it. Sometimes I think too much like a coach and a player. Now Ryan McKay. I believe they've just hit Will Wording with a balk. Yeah, Grant been hit with a balk. And so they'll move the runner down into scoring position. Two and 0. Strikeout and a single in the inning. The first hit of the ball game for Michigan. Now they're trying to make it count. Oh, what a pitch. What a beautiful off-speed pitch. Hope you had the proper look at that one at home, or no matter where you're at. That one broke right in the strike zone. Will Wording gets the sign that he likes and brings home the 2-1, and that one stays high and away. Didn't quite snap that one off enough. Preston Carter on deck. If anybody else able to reach, we'll see Ellis Folks. Modest lead at second. Grant steps off. And he lost him. Well, after cruising, and I mean cruising through the first 3 innings, the second and third place man in this inning have reached on Grant Wilwerding, and we may be seeing a change. At the very least, we've got a conversation going on the mound. Any run in this ball game, quite obviously, is very, very important. Wilwerding has been dominant in this ball game. Preston Carter hasn't been too far behind him. Since the leadoff walk, and again, this is Preston Carter now coming to the plate for Michigan. He, the moundsman for Team Michigan. Since giving up the leadoff walk and then a second batter single, and allowing runners to get to second and third with nobody out in the first, he's now been dominant as well. Wilwerding kicks and fires. And this one smoked into left center field and pretty well hit. Center fielder moving back there, and it's beyond his glove and up against the wall. 1 run has scored. Second runner McKay headed for third. The relay will not be made, and it is 1-0 Michigan. RBI double, Preston Carter. That's the definition of a pitcher helping himself out there. Now Ellis Folks. Folks, a ground out victim. Pardon me, lined out to the third baseman. His first time up. And easily the biggest at-bat of this ball game so far. At the plate right now. Well, that's just the talent right there of these young men. Wilwerding sat down the first 10 men that he faced in this ball game with incredible ease. But all of a sudden, he's been put into a precarious situation to where a base hit right now could certainly make it 2-0, potentially 3-0. And Preston Carter, his opposite moundsman for Michigan, has been, if not exactly as good as Wilwerding, he's been just as good. Really close anyway. .3-0 count now. Grant kicks and fires. A strike. Straight away in the outfield. Cheating towards the second base bag, at least for a moment, with the second baseman. Shortstop, deep short. That one fouled away, and Grant's back to the at-bat at 3-2. Even with the bag at third, and about 2 steps shy of being on top of it. Playing back a bit at first. Wilwerding, a 3-2 pitch. And he lost him. Ellis Folks draws the walk. 4 consecutive men have now reached in this top half of the 4th inning. Now Brett Wall. Wall, a ground out victim, as the second batter of the second frame. It's McKay at third, Carter at second, and Folks at first with one man out. Hot smash, fair ball down the left field line. One run has scored. A second runner going to cross the plate. They're going to wave Folks to the plate. Relay will not be made as it bounces over the relay man and the third baseman. And 3 runs score, a bases clearing double for Brett Wall. Well, this game has absolutely turned on a dime, a complete 180. How about that? And now Alex Cheeseman. As most everyone we've seen in this inning, 0 for 1 coming to the plate. Fielded at second. No play, at least not in time. At the corners now with one man out. Infield single for Alex Cheeseman. Good gracious. The first 10 batters were retired on 4 groundouts, 3 of which were really soft groundouts, 4 strikeouts, a high lazy pop, and the hardest hit ball by a Michigan man in this ball game coming into this inning was a liner down to third by Folks. First 10 men retired with ease as the runner breaks for second, and he'll be in easily. But then all of a sudden, Michigan's bats came to life. A single, a walk, an RBI double, another walk, then a bases clearing double. And now an infield single just moments ago by Alex Cheeseman, who's standing down at second, by the way. This high pop, left field, falls in, fair ball down the line, and another run coming to the plate. That ball fair by no more than a foot. RBI single, Jalil Palmer. Ninth man coming to the plate in Hunter Lilla. And that will in fact be it for Grant Wilwerding. Grant going to occupy the shortstop position. Cooper Ramey going to head over to the dugout and potentially start to warm up on the mound, by the way. We'll find out here in a moment. Five-0 ball game in the top half of the fourth inning. Drew Ellsworth is the new moundsman. The left-hander for home plate Blankenship. Team Georgia on your screen there. So, let's move let's move Drew Ellsworth from first base to the mound. Let's take Cooper Ramey from shortstop and moved him over to first base. And of course, we'll take Grant Wilwerding from the mound and shift him over to shortstop. This is not uncommon for those of you maybe watching for the first time at home to see a lot of movement in the field for these young men. Remember, travel ball select the finest in youth baseball. These kids, extremely intelligent, extremely accurate, or athletic, I should say. Their baseball acumen incredibly high, and you'll see these kids play a multitude of positions. So, Hunter Lilla comes to the plate to welcome Drew Ellsworth on the mound. Lefty looks in and fires to the lefty at the plate. Ball one. I'll tell you what else. Being in the fourth inning, now all of a sudden it's 5-0. We may have to start talking about run rules again. Still got a little ways to go before we have to worry about it, but just put that in the back of your mind. Ellsworth deals. Oh, what a pitch. What a pitch. Did you see the movement on that ball? How does a 10-year-old throw that pitch? Drew's 2-2. Sweeps outside with a fastball. Runners with the double steal. Full count pitch coming up. Chopper down to second. Takes the second hop. Run going to come across to score, make it 6-0, and 2 men gone. Lilla retired for 3. Again, the winner of this one advances on to take on MGBA Bulldogs here at the East Cobb Baseball Complex over on Field 6. 1:30 estimated first pitch time. Loser out of the tournament. Here's Ryan Mooney. Fastball he takes high. Ryan, a fly-out victim his first time up. Tested the left fielder and lost. Got Palmer at third, a chance at an RBI. 1-1 count. Everybody has batted in this visitors' half of the fourth. It's 6-0. Swing and a miss. 1-2 count. Inning started with a strikeout by Ryan Frohawk. And ho-hum, we were all lulled to sleep. Grant Will Wording was still mowing down guys. We thought we were in store for another really quick top half of an inning. Got him. They'll have to throw him out, and they do. So the inning finally, and for Georgia, mercifully, comes to an end. But not before 6 runs on the board for the Hit Dogs from Michigan. And that's your score, 6-0 at the end of 3.5 from Atlanta. Completely different ball game for Preston Carter on the mound now than the last time he climbed the big bump in the center of the diamond. When he retired the Georgia boys in red in the bottom half of the third inning, he was locked into a scoreless duel. Now as he faces them in the bottom half of the fourth, he's sitting on a 6-0 lead. Welcome back to this 10U age range ball game in the 2015 TBS Woodbat National Championship. Winner advances inside the tournament. Loser going home for the weekend. It's Michigan and Georgia. Metro Atlanta versus Metro Detroit. Home plate Blankenship versus the Motor City Hit Dogs. And the leadoff man Hayden Blair caught with a pitch. And he'll reach versus the HBP in this bottom half of the fourth. It'll be Blair, who's now down at first. Drew Ellsworth and Aaron Gates, your guaranteed 3 in the bottom half of the fourth. And it looks like via that HBP we may get a look at Grant Wilwerding, who would be the fourth place man. Blair now down at first with a strikeout and an HBP on his scorecard. Ellsworth at the plate right now with a strikeout. Back in the first. Oh, beautiful pitch by Carter. How different would this ball game be had Georgia been able to cash in on those first 2 runners of the ball game? Again, a walk and a single to start the ball game. Swing and a miss. Runner breaking down to second, and he's in safely. Still on a strikeout. 1 man out. A walk and a single to start the ball game. Eventually runners got to second and third with nobody out. But then Carter really bared down. That was when it all started for him. He then retired the next, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 guys in a row before that HBP just a moment ago. Yeah, 9 in a row before the HBP to start this inning. He got out of that second with nobody out, runners at second and third with consecutive strikeouts, and then a soft ground out to McKay at second. Lazy fly out, a strikeout, and a pop-up in the second inning. A ground out, a pop-up, a fly out in the third. And now here in this fourth inning, an HBP to start the inning, but then he made quick work of Ellsworth and retired him on the strikeout. Right-hander deals. Foul back. Aaron Gates was retired 4-3 to end that aforementioned first inning. Again, these young men in the 10U classification playing on a field that is now supposed to be, by the way, 46-65. Supposed to be 46 feet from mound to plate. Although I'm going to tell you something, I didn't see him alter the plate. Now maybe I just missed it. Running around like a chicken with my head cut off before the ball game, trying to get starting lineups and roster sheets and things of that nature. But one thing I definitely did not see them do was change the base pads and the lines. They're supposed to be playing on base pads that are 65 feet between each base, 46 feet from mound to plate. Of course, for those of you not baseball people out there, that's measured to the back of the plate from the mound. 46 feet in the 10U classification, and then 65 feet again between each base. Varies per age, of course. Gates behind in the count, by the way, 0-2, with a runner at second and 1 man gone in the home half of the fourth. Georgia trying to chip into a 6-0 Michigan lead. Another rule of note at this point in the ball game. Michigan sitting on a 6-0 lead. We'll have to start talking about run rules here pretty soon. Line in a center field. That'll help Team Georgia. Rounding third, heading to the plate. No relay. And the drought has been broken for Georgia. It's 6-1. RBI single for Aaron Gates. Well, again, no lead is safe in travel baseball. We just saw what happened with young Mr. Grant Wilwerding, who was on the mound for Georgia. He was just mowing guys down left and right, sitting on a no-hitter. He looked incredibly dominant. And all of a sudden, Michigan got to him for the tune of 6 runs. No lead is safe with these talented young men on the diamond. Grant Wilwerding, speaking of that young man, is now standing at the plate. Squares to bunt. Takes a fastball up around the chin. Stealing second is Gates. That's part of the reason right there no lead is safe. Because these kids steal bases so well at this age range. And the catchers, well, they struggle. They struggle to throw guys out, especially down at second. Fastball, outside corner. Count even at 1. This time, fastball off the outside corner. Shooting for the same spot, couldn't quite nail it. And now the 2-1. Let's get even in the count at 2-2. That RBI single by Gates, just the second hit of the ball game. Only 4 men have reached base. A couple of hits, as I mentioned, a walk and an HBP off of Preston Carter. Caught the outside corner, called strike 3. Fifth strikeout of the ball game for the Michigan right-hander. And here's Cooper Ramey. Slated to be Ramey. I don't know if that's Cooper at the plate. Yep, yeah it is. Cooper started our ball game at shortstop. Has since moved over to first. Runner breaking for third. Gates, and they're sliding safely. So now you're a potential wild pitch or error away or passed ball from the second runner coming to the plate. When you're facing a great pitcher like Carter, that's all you can do if you're Georgia. So try to chip away at it until he gets close to an innings limit or starts to get tired. It's getting late. Again, we're scheduled for 6 innings in this ball game. Oh, that was close. I think the umpire got deked out a little bit there. If you were careful to watch that last pitch, he kind of flinched. Off the inside corner for ball 2. Three and 0. Swing and a miss. Fastball that he could not lay off of. Cooper, a strikeout victim already once. As the second batter of the second inning, he was retired looking. This time, he's drawn the base on balls. Now this is a big moment now. Here a deep fly or an extra base hit from being firmly back in this ball game. Bryson Blankenship to the plate now. The Georgia catcher, 0 for 1, as so many Georgia men are in this ball game today. Popped up to the second baseman in his only plate appearance. And he takes ball one as Ramey heads down to second with the stolen base. Both teams trying to get to the opposing team's dominant pitcher in this fourth frame. One. Wild pitch. He is breaking to the plate, and Gates has scored. Oh, I didn't think he was going to take the chance at it. That one barely popped away, but Gates may be the fastest guy out of either team out there on the field today, and he did decide to go for it. I'll tell you something. I think for a split second, Wall didn't know where that ball was. I think if he knows where that ball is immediately, he's able to have a little bit better shot of fielding that thing and then taking about 2 steps to his left and at least having a play on Gates at the plate, because that ball didn't pop any more than about 4 or 5 feet away from the plate. Blankenship in control of the at-bat now at 3-1. So it's 6-2 now. 6-2. Walked him. How about this? How about this? Two really dominant pitchers throughout this ball game headed into this fourth frame, and both guys have run into a wall in this fourth frame. Wonder if we'll see ourselves another pitching change. Now they'll leave him in the ball game. I'll tell you, though, he may not be long as far as batters. They may give him one more batter or so. Runners breaking down to second, another stolen base. Grant Will Wording is the man who came into courtesy run for Blankenship, who just walked. They take Blankenship out of the ball game, get him back into the dugout since he's wearing the catcher's gear. Coach does a great job, very smart to courtesy run for him. And when you do that, you got to either bring in somebody off the bench or the last man who made an out. In this case, that's Will Wording. And now Shaner has been hit by a pitch. Boy, this inning is really turning. Shaner, a ground-out victim in his only other plate appearance, reaches via the HBP, and now 2, 4, 6, 7 guys have come to the plate in the inning. And here's Wills McGinnis back to the top of the order, and things really start to get dangerous for Carter. Still a 6-2 lead, but one swing could tie it. Got away. Runner to the plate. 6-3 underneath the tag. Well, Ramey comes to the plate and scores on the wild pitch. Will Wording, the courtesy runner, advances down to third. Shaner now down at second. And that one shot foul. 6-3 ball game. Wonder how much further they'll let Carter go. Fouled back into the screen. Holy smokes, McGinnis really let it rip on that one. Wills was swinging for the downs. Georgia's second baseman walked to start the ball game. Popped up to the first baseman in the third. And the pitch. Back into the screen again. 1-2. A hit batter, a strikeout. An RBI single, a strikeout. 2 walks in a row, and then an HBP. That's been the inning here in the fourth for Georgia. Strike 3 called on the outside corner. Carter gets the strikeout when he needs it the most, and he's been a strikeout machine today. In fact, that's 2, 4, 6. Yeah, 6 strikeouts for Carter. I'll recount them during the inning break to make sure I've got it right, but what we know for sure is 3 runs come across for Georgia in the inning, and they've cut that lead in half to 6-3 through 4 on TravelBallSelect.com. Ryan Frohawk, Parker Bustevich, and Ryan McKay in the visitors' half of the 5th frame. Drew Ellsworth kicks and fires, ball 1. Thanks for joining us right back here on TravelBallSelect.com alongside our producer, director extraordinaire, running things today, Amy Walker. Johnny Doherty running our camera today, panning and tilting. Me, I'm just Chris Mooneyham. Really appreciate you joining us today on what has turned into an amazing weather day in Metro Atlanta here in early May. A leadoff infield single off the bat of Ryan Frohawk to start the 5th. Frohawk now 1 for 2 after his strikeout to start the 4th inning. Those of you just tuning in, 6-3 our score. Michigan leads Georgia. All 9 runs between the two teams coming in that long 4th inning. Another way you could give the scoring recap for those of you just tuning in, we were nearly sitting on 2 no-hitters halfway through the ball game. Remember, this game slated for 6 innings. Through 3, we had just 1 hit for the two teams combined. But then all of a sudden, Michigan gets to Grant Will Wording on the mound for Georgia for the tune of 6 runs. And then in the bottom half of the 4th inning, Georgia gets to Preston Carter, and now Motor City looking to add to their 6-3 lead. Coming to the plate, and Frohock will score. RBI double, Parker Bustevich. Infield single, RBI double, first two batters in the fifth. Bustevich with good speed down at second. Ryan McKay at the plate. Strikeout and a walk. Wind, as you can no doubt hear on our microphones, really starting to pick up here. It has really over, I guess, about the last 15, 20 minutes, maybe half hour or so. Absolutely calm, no wind to speak of as we started our day. And progressively, as the morning has worn along, we've started to see a little more and a little more of it. Big puffy clouds moving into the area, still a high sky where the clouds are not. Old Glory back behind home plate, starts out with the wind blowing to the plate. So anything put into the outfield, and it's going to blow back towards the infield. Quite the opposite of what we had here a few weeks ago. Right across the way on field 8, same dimensions as this field a few weeks ago here at East Cobb. Shot back into the screen by McKay, and a 2-2 count. It's a very blustery day here in Marietta, Georgia, a few weeks ago, with the wind blowing out, by the way. And among the 5 games that we called, I think we had 8, 9 home runs, if memory serves, between those teams. Strike 3 called outside corner, a fastball that must have just, and I mean just, caught the outside corner. McKay retired via the strikeout for his second time of the ball game, and here's Preston Carter. Carter does, in fact, have 6 strikeouts on the mound for Michigan in this ball game. Mentioned that as we were going to the break at the end of the bottom half of the 4th. I was trying to do quick math, and that's never good. Not for me, anyway. My wife's the math major. I didn't have time to take a picture of my scorecard and send it to her, though, so she could add it up. So Carter, a strikeout in the first, RBI double in the 4th. Two-0 count. Top 5th. Swing, and yeah, he got a piece of it, but nonetheless, it's strike 1. Top of the 5th, for those of you the uninitiated out there, basically the equivalent of the top half of the 8th inning. We'll play 6. 6-3, Michigan lead. Michigan donning the orange and blue and white at the plate in this visitors' half. Georgia in the red and white. Not just Michigan versus Georgia, but Metro Atlanta versus Metro Detroit. The home plate Chili Dogs from South Metro taking on the Motor City Hit Dogs from Michigan. 2 of the great nicknames, by the way, in travel baseball. Right now, Michigan leads Georgia 7-3. Cut on and missed. And Carter retired. 2 hits to start the inning that produced a run. Now consecutive strikeouts for Ellsworth. And he's an out away from getting out of the inning with Ellis Folks to the plate. Ellis hit a hard smash down to third that Blair fielded in his own bodily defense. Oh, beautiful fastball outside corner by Ellsworth for strike one. Yeah, Ellsworth hit that hard smash to start the second inning and then walked in the fourth. So two really solid at-bats for young Ellis Folks, the third baseman for Michigan today. That one didn't spin the right way. Tailed outside. Again, this is the second of 4 ball games here on TravelBallSelect.com today. We started inside of one classification, the 12U. We've moved to the 10U, and we'll spend our last 2 ball games inside of the 11-year-old classification. Semi-final ball game inside of the gold bracket, the overall championship bracket in the 11U classification, and then the championship game. Elimination games all along our schedule today. High pop. Wind brings it back. Out of play. Got him swinging. Well, now that was a great job by a young pitcher to get out of a potentially disastrous inning. After a leadoff single and an RBI double, 3 consecutive strikeouts for the young moundsman Drew Ellsworth, and he's kept the lead at 7-3 through 4.5 in Atlanta. Well, it's getting late for Team Georgia versus Team Michigan here in this elimination ball game of the 2015 Travel Ball Woodbat National Championship Series. A strike. No, they'll call that a ball off the outside corner. And Wesley Drake, Hayden Blair, and Drew Ellsworth will head to the plate for Georgia in this home half of the second inning. And they will greet the new Michigan pitcher, which is Brett Wall, who spent most of his day behind the plate for Michigan. 2-0 count, by the way. 2-4, kicking and firing. That one sent back into the screen. And now Brett into the at-bat at 2-1. Brett takes over for Preston Carter, in line to get the win in this ball game. 7-3. Michigan leads Georgia 3-1. That's going to stay in play. Shortstop's got it. Drake is retired on the pop-up to the shortstop, so a P6 if you prefer. And now Wesley 1 for 3 in the ball game, a single, a fly out, and a pop-up. Pretty easy play there for Brustavich. And here's Hayden Blair. Hayden's had himself a little bit of a tough day today in that he struck out in the first inning. Then he was hit by a pitch to start the fourth. No, I'm only kidding. I only say that because he was hit by a pitch. Actually took one that spun down in the dirt about 2 feet before it got to him. Hit out in front of the batter's box and popped up and caught him, I think, in the shin, if memory serves. This time he tests Brustavich at short, and your score in this inning, Brustavich 2, Georgia 0. And here's Ellsworth. Drew has just missed a couple of balls in his 2 plate appearances. He sent a couple of balls, and he looked like he had struck well, but were either just missed or fouled. And this one he's a little bit late on. Looks like it's going to stay in play. McKay's got it in foul territory. And now for Ellsworth, unfortunately, he falls to 0 for 3 in the ball game. Quickly, 1-2-3 goes Georgia in the home half of the 5th. The final frame coming up next on TravelBallSelect.com. Brett Wall, Alex Cheeseman, and Jalil Palmer. Visitors half of the 6th inning. And a fastball that was probably high, 1-0. Home plate official struggling today. I don't mean to pick on the gentleman. That's about the 3rd or 4th time in this ball game where he's thought that the catcher was not going to make the reception from the pitcher. And so he's ducked out of the way of the pitch. That's got to be the 3rd or 4th time we've seen that today. Hard to call balls and strikes when you got your eyes closed and your head turned sideways. No, I was going to say I'm only kidding, but I'm actually telling the truth. But anyway. That's one of those situations where umpire says, ball 1. And the coach says, how do you know? Wall shoots one down to the second baseman, kind of knuckles on him, and Brett will reach. Got to score that an infield single. Whether you think that second baseman could have made the play or not, way it knuckled on him. Touch the dirt first. To me, that's the key. So a single to start things for Michigan in the 6th. And now hits and consecutive at-bats, by the way, for Wall. In fact, cannot forget to mention that Brett had the biggest hit of this ball game, a 3 RBI double in the 4th inning, part of that 6-run 4th inning. Gave his team what at the time was a 5-0 lead, and now they've, of course, built it up to 7-3. Here's Cheeseman. Alex, a ground out and an infield single. Retired 5-3 to end the second. Infield single in that long fourth inning. Jaleel Palmer on deck. Swing and a miss. By the way, if you're wondering, the bottom half of the final frame, it'll be Gates, Will Wording, and Ramey. Your scheduled 3. Funny, because you see a lot of the kids that are coming and going, a lot of the families that are coming and going off to the right-hand portion of your screen there along the walkway. That's one of the entry points to the park here. You'll see a lot of people in the background of your screen kind of pause and check out the score and watch a pitch or two of this matchup. Again, I bring that up to re-articulate an earlier point. This is a very intriguing matchup for folks that follow travel baseball, the programs, the championships each year, the tournaments. These two are the top flight programs across the country. Any time that someone sees that the Motor City Hit Dogs and the home plate program are playing each other, people will kind of pause and watch for a moment. Michigan and Georgia, two of the top producing baseball talented states in America. Two and two count. Swing and a miss. And Cheeseman's down via the swinging strikeout. Four strikeouts now for Ellsworth. He's been really good since coming in or in relief of Grant Will Wording. Again, it's been a really odd ball game in some ways because at times, well, really for the majority of the ball game, Georgia's pitching has been absolutely dominant. But that fourth inning, well, that was their bugaboo. Ground ball down to third. That ball stays fair. Blair across the diamond in time to retire Jaleel Palmer. Six runs in the fourth, 1 run in the fifth. Michigan. The leadoff man was retired in that fourth inning, and then Michigan sent 2, 4, 6, 8 guys to the plate, 7 guys to the plate before another man was retired. This time, not much doing. After the infield single by Brett Wall, 3 consecutive men retired, and we head to the bottom half of the final frame. Now, just 3 outs away from a victory, and advancement is Michigan. Want to remind you, fans, coming up next here on TravelBallSelect.com, 1:30, our estimated first pitch time, back inside the 11U classification. As we start the bottom half of this final frame, this an elimination ball game inside of the 10U classification. Again, 2 more ball games here on TravelBallSelect.com. 1:30, the estimated first pitch time for the East Cobb Astros versus, well, we don't know quite yet, of course. We've got games going on right now and teams advancing all over the place, but what we know is we'll see a semifinal matchup in the 11U classification as the homestanding East Cobb Astros, a legendary program in many different age ranges across the country in youth baseball, will take on a team that, well, will have just advanced inside of the bracket. Aaron Gates at the plate right now. 1 for 2, I should say, with an RBI single back in the fourth, and he was retired on a ground out to second base to end the first. And the pitch from Wall. Swing and a miss. Gates retired with a strikeout to start the final frame. Following that ball game, 3:45 roughly, the estimated first pitch time for the 11U Gold Bracket Championship game here in the 2015 Travel Ball Woodbat National Championship. Winner of this one, as I mentioned, advances on to face MGBA in another elimination bracket ball game in the 10U classification. Michigan trying to hold on and take out Georgia. Swing and a miss. Grant Wilwerding, a fly out and a strikeout at the plate. Cut on and missed. 1-2. Coaches will tell him to remember what he did for the first 3 innings of this ball game. Don't even bother thinking about that 4th inning, except for using it as a learning tool. Called strike 3. Wilwerding was sitting on a no-hitter through 3 innings of this ball game and was incredibly dominant before the team from Michigan absolutely exploded for 6 runs in that visitors' half of the 4th. Here's Cooper Ramey, the final hope for Georgia on this weekend to try to keep them from elimination. And Coop takes a strike on the outside corner. 0-1. Cooper a strikeout as the second batter of the 2nd inning and a walk as a part of that 3-run 4th inning. A giant curveball that stayed inside. That's got to be the first time we've seen Brett Wall throw that big sweeping curveball. Fastball off the outside corner, and it's 2-1. If Ramey can reach, we'll get to Blankenship. Wall kicks and fires. Fastball that stays high and tight. Now 3-1. And he lost him. So Ramey reaches for the 2nd time in the ball game. Strikeout in the 2nd, walk in the 4th, and now a walk here in the 6th. And here's Bryson Blankenship, the Georgia catcher. Pop up to the 2nd baseman as the final out of the 2nd inning. And he too walked as part of that long 4th inning. Takes a fastball that must have been high. Well, that fastball was certainly high, and it's 2-0. Runner advances down to 2nd. Oh, fastball that Bryson is wishing he took a hack at. You probably saw him. Kind of raised his head as though he was going to look at the sky to say, why in the world didn't I cut at that? That one tails outside. Shaner on deck. Ramey with good speed down at 2nd. Obviously, they're not playing him on the bag, so he's got a huge, huge lead. And Blankenship takes strike 2. So 3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Bottom of the final inning. Down by 4, Blankenship trying to keep this ball game going in the pitch. Swing and a miss, and that is the ball game. 3 strikeouts in the inning. Boy, oh boy, how good was Brett Wall when he came in relief over the final 2 frames. Well, how good was he? He didn't even give up a hit. He retired, 6 of the 7 batters he faced and had just the 1 walk. And he helps his team to a 7-3 victory here inside of this bracket in the 10U classification. The weekend now for the home plate Blankenship team out of South Metro Atlanta, Georgia, is now over. So, the Motor City Hit Dogs from Metro Detroit, from Michigan, they will advance in the bracket and have a ball game coming up here pretty soon in East Cobb. As for us, we'll bid adieu for right now, and when we come back here at about 1:30 or so, the scheduled first pitch time here on Field 7, we'll have a ball game back inside the 11U classification, a semifinal single elimination ball game between the East Cobb Astros and the old to-be-determined ball club. For Amy Walker and Johnny Doherty, I'm Chris Mooneyham. Thanks for joining us right back here on TravelBallSelect.com.